Hello and welcome to Videozone. I'm Charles Band and I'm here at the San Diego Comic Convention, standing in front of the Silver Moon Comics booth. It's an exciting show, and we're really happy that next year we're going to start publishing our own very cool Silver Moon comics. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed Shrunken Heads, and of course I'll see you on the next edition of the Videozone.
Fly into a world of magic and mayhem with Full Moon Entertainment's outrageous horror comedy, Shrunken Heads.
Cut! Cut! Okay.
Director Rick Elfman puts his personal spin on the twisted story.
I had a very specific idea in mind for the look of the film, and it was roughly inspired by Dead End. The feel that we were looking for was almost that of a 1940s comic book. American archetypes, the quintessential American city, the good kids, the bad kids.
What, you got a friggin' problem, huh?
Shrunken Heads gave Rick an opportunity to display his special talent for working with teenagers.
Well, working with kids, I've got to say, was more fun than a challenge, although, you know, I am a stage director and you give them patience and understanding and, oh, Moot, damn you! No, but we were really like a family, and I didn't have to do stuff like that.
That family feeling was heightened by the involvement of superstar film composer Danny Elfman and other Elfman relatives.
My brother, I've done some of his videos, and I started the original Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo. He kind of got off his project and helped us out with a title sequence, which was fun. And my grandmother played Mrs. Berkowitz, and it was my father who played Mr. Berkowitz.
Mr. Sumatra, there's been a terrible stench coming from your apartment.
And my youngest son, Louis, was a stand-in for Eric Egan.
One family member got the raw end of the deal.
Here, let me just show you what sort of torture my father has devised for me. Well, this right here is a mealworm. This is a live mealworm. Can you see that? These are my friends. And in approximately 3 hours, I'll have these in my mouth, crawling around.
Mr. Sumatra wants to see you now.
Worms weren't the worst thing that Bodie had to endure.
They're torturing me. I haven't done well in my performances, so it's a torture treatment that Full Moon has devised to get back at the actors. Now they're putting me in makeup for my zombie scenes. What they're doing right now is they put on a layer of specially devised
industrial strength cheesecloth.
So it's going to put it in different places around, and he'll stretch out my skin and put it on, and then when you let my skin go, it creates sort of a zombie wrinkled effect.
Too bad things didn't work out better.
Every actor had their trials and tribulations in this effect-filled film.
Well, perhaps people won't recognize me in Big Mo, as being Big Mo, I should say. Because with playing the character Big Mo, there's a reason why they call her Big. I was padded.
Well, I look like a bank.
And all of a sudden, you're padded 35, 40 pounds. And, you know, I mean, and you got this girth. I mean, I hadn't been that big since I was pregnant. My radius was very different. You know, I'd bump into things. Not that Mo would, but, you know, I'd sort of have to make room for more room. And it did, you know, it would tend to make you carry yourself very differently and to move differently, and my laughter and my whole sense of myself was very different.
Nobody believed this in a million years.
My hair was so big, I kept blocking people's light. I knew what blocking the light was. You're getting in front of some light that's going to shine on another person's face. Well, this first day of shooting, my first scene, I was so nervous. And my hair was just huge. And I had to walk over, say my line, light Meg's cigar, sit my butt on the desk, all of this at the same time. And each time I would do it, I would scoot in, and you could see the DP going, you know, and I'd be like, what? He'd say, you're blocking the light, you're blocking the light. And I just would whimper, you know, my hair has never been this big before. The one scene I remember the most is having to kiss Tommy, because that was my very first on-screen kiss, and at first it was kind of difficult, you know. I got a little nervous because we had to sit there for like 5 minutes and have them focus on our lips touching. And I didn't want to like breathe into his mouth or anything. You're trembling.
Heads, little heads, they're flying around.
I had to stuff a replica shrunken head into my mouth for the special effects crew.
They got ponytails, they got teeth, they got bugged out eyes.
And and they put it through a windshield, and this guy literally and stuffed this thing into my mouth and took fishing line and he yanked it out of my mouth he was about 12 feet away through the windshield on the other side.
And that ain't the worst of it.
What they did was they ran it in reverse, so it made it look like it was flying into my mouth when it was really being just yanked out. That was a good 9-10 hour day, about 10 hours worth of stuffing my face with a styrofoam head.
Creating the heads was no small task.
Well, they're the actual size heads of the actors for the funeral scene, where their heads actually get cut off so that they can be shrunken into this smaller size. The actual size ones were actually made from cast.
Oh, well, we went to a makeup place and they just put like this big human like stuff that if you'll break your arm, they just put it on your face. It was cold and everything. It was just blabbing it on. It looked like cooking oil or something. Gross. Well, it dried up and it made a human head cast of ourselves.
He took a mold of my teeth and made these. So these teeth are exactly like mine. This head is exactly like mine. These eyes are exactly like mine. It's all been molded.
These were actually sculpted, downsized, because we couldn't cast a head. They're not that size. You have to do a life cast of an actual size head. And then we had someone sculpt the smaller version of them to get their likeness. We'll need to show the process of them shrinking down. We'll have the medium-sized head, they'll be in a cauldron, they have stitches in their mouths, corks in their noses, and then the next shot will be of the smaller size.
Not everybody was thrilled with the result.
If I ever look like this, please kill me.
Rough days were the least of some video store owners' problems once Full Moon got their hands on them. A lucky group of retailers won the chance to die in one of our coolest stunts yet, the bus crash. Keep a careful eye on it as it goes down. You might just see someone you know.
I feel pretty good for being dead. It's really amazing.
He was fabulous. And if he doesn't make it as a director, he's a great preacher.
The energy that he had, I mean, he could be a cult leader.
Although precision stunts are impressive, they're almost overshadowed by the wizardry of motion control techniques.
Motion control is a new system we've acquired here at Full Moon, and the way it works is it's a computer-driven system. The computer drives a series of motors and gears and pulleys, and the whole system rides on a linear rail. And we can do very fast moves and very slow moves. And we've shot the child actors here with this system, the camera flying down the track at 5 feet a second.
Blue screen techniques make interesting demands on the actors.
Well, you pick a spot on the blue screen, and you relate to those spots, 1, 2, 3. And that's where you focus. Imagination, that they're floating around up there. They're doing what I asked them to do.
Have you drawn blood, my children?
We have found evil doers. They will do evil no more.
Like the motion control shots, the kids would sit in a chair and the chair would turn in circles while the camera would fly around them. And a lot of it was done what they call undercranked or overcranked. So it might be normally film is shot at 24 frames a second. Some of the stuff was at 6 frames, 4 frames a second. So if someone had to yell, it might be like, whoa! And that would come out on screen like, wow! you know, so the kids had to roll with the punches.
The intense pressures were often too much.
Come on, can I be sweating or drooling or something?
Motion control effects were also used to create the head's point of view as they fly over Manhattan.
Well, when you're shooting particularly miniatures, you're working, this set is 1/48th scale. So we're basically, we're at times like, you know, inches away from the model, and other times you're 10, 15 feet away. One of the nice things that motion control enables you to do is to do repeat passes, which means you can run the same piece of film for the camera multiple times. So if I want to take this setup as you're seeing now, and I want to expose the window lights at a separate exposure from the lights hitting the buildings, I can expose all these separate elements at separate rates, or use different combinations of filters and things, so I can create a wide variety of effects at different levels. You know, you always try to make the shot as dynamic, as interesting as possible. Using a snorkel lens like we've got here, we can skim by top of buildings and do all kinds of amazing things that would be very difficult to do with a real camera, even with even a helicopter type of a shot. We can do things with motion control you can't do with helicopters. And helicopters usually can't fly between buildings too easily.
A film with shots as intricate as these can only be summed up in one way. Shrunken heads. A little head goes a long way.
There's actually a great deal of similarity between writing for comic books and writing for film, which is probably why I have so little difficulty making the transition. In both instances, you're writing for what is ultimately a visual medium. You come up with the characters, you come up with the plot, but that you get in novels. What you have to do is try and write material that is going to be interesting for people to look at. If you just have page after page of talking heads, it's not going to be what the comic book readers are going to want to see. It's not going to be what the viewers of a full moon production want to see. They want to see action, they want to see excitement, they want to have that sense of drama and adventure. So that's the kind of material that I'm always trying to factor into my production of comic books or movies.
Jack.
You're kidding. Your name isn't really Jack Death.
No, but in my line of work, I don't think anyone would take Maurice Death seriously.
Fundamentally, Jack Death was, to my mind, bogey. So much so that I even tossed in a riff from Casablanca on Transist 5. He is the classic, hard-bitten detective.
Feel tough.
Lady, I am tough.
In the previous movies, you've got this guy who's this hard-bitten detective, down in the mouth, in a trench coat, from another time, and they put him in Los Angeles, where he fit in. The movies all had their various merits, but the bottom line was he blended in. When I wanted to do Transfers 4 and 5, I wanted to really play off of the idea that this guy is from another time and go for that sort of fish out of water discrepancy.
Something tells me I'm not in Kansas. Swell.
So as a result, we took the hard-bitten detective and put him into this otherworldly sword and sorcery realm, shook it up, and see where we came out.
All right, listen up. Jack Death, Angel City PD.
Oblivion really has its roots in 1930s and 40s pulp magazines, in which you essentially had cowboys and aliens in outer space. It is a genre that has its own name, space opera, and has continued throughout the decades. Probably the most conspicuous example of it is Star Wars. Star Wars is merely space opera. They took away the guns and they gave them light swords. But the cantina sequence from there was right out of a Western. With Oblivion, we've essentially done the same thing. We've gone right back to the source and made it cowboys and aliens in outer space. That was the film that Charlie Band had in mind to do, and that is essentially what I tried to deliver, with a kind of warped and somewhat skewed sensibility, putting in all sorts of little in-jokes and references for people who have been longtime genre fans.
Who says diamonds are a girl's best friend, huh? Robo-bitch.
I have been fairly lucky in my work with Full Moon to be working with very talented visualists. Dave Nutter with Trancers 4 and 5, Sam Irvin with Oblivion and Oblivion 2. They both have very different styles, very different ways of handling the very talented casts that we were fortunate enough to get. But ultimately, I'm extremely happy with the final product. If I weren't, I'd probably just stick with writing novels. There's so many different types of films that I think it would be pretentious of me to say, well, up until I came along, this has been missing from films, but I'm here now. No, you've always had humorous films, you've had drama, you've had adventure. A picture to some degree is worth 1,000 words. And I like the idea of being the one who says what the picture is in addition to what the words are.
Jack Death has traveled through time to a dimension ruled by trancers.
I am master of time and space.
I'm not afraid of anyone.
His only chance of escape lies in the trust of an enemy.
I have given up everything because I hated what my people were doing.
Together, they will go on a deadly quest to find the power that waits inside a castle of terror.
I've had about enough of this psychodrama.
Jack Death's final adventure has begun. Tim Thomerson.
If this is unrelenting terror, I can't wait for total panic.
Trancers 5. Sudden Death. When Rick Myers tapped into the secret of artificial life,
It's the formula.
he became the master of Andre Toulon's puppets.
The future is yours, Rick, as well as the magic. Guard and protect it and keep it from evil.
Now, his newfound power will make him a pawn.
And you say there are 7 of these puppets still at the hotel?
Between a corporation.
Now, once we're inside, what we're looking for are 6 stringless puppets.
And a demon from hell.
The others, are they still in the hotel?
Just pick up anything that looks like a puppet.
Something's not right.
One will stop at nothing to capture the puppets.
Hey, you think these things are dangerous?
Oh, please, not ridiculous.
The other will unleash the forces of darkness to destroy them all.
Oh, you are beautiful.
We have their magic. They're gonna keep coming until they get it back or until they're stopped.
Oh, my God.
Puppet Master 5, coming soon from Full Moon Entertainment. In the darkest depths of hell.
You know the law. You know it is forbidden for us to leave this pit.
I would happily pay the consequences for a single day of freedom.
An avenging angel has found the gateway.
To a world of unchecked evil.
The demons from hell are coming!
A world called Earth.
It is only you who would make the ascent wearing your own flesh.
Heaven has chosen her to judge our souls and send sinners.
Please! Get away!
Straight to hell.
Who's ever responsible for the killings is probably on some sick quest.
On a mission of vengeance, the last thing she expected to find was love.
I want you to accept me into your dwelling.
Now, passion.
Are you attracted to me?
Veronica, you are a complete and utter mystery to me.
Will control her fate.
It's not in my nature to turn away from evil, Max.
Are you responsible for those murders?
I'm not human, Max. I turn into another person. A person that might repulse you.
Hell has no fury like the Dark Angel.
Who the hell are you?
Don't you know what I am?
Dark Angel. The Ascent.
The producers of Reanimator and From Beyond take you to a town on the edge of madness, where people have become prey for an evil under the ground.
These damn things have been living under our feet and tearing us apart for 20 years.
A lurking fear that hides an unholy fortune.
In that cemetery is buried a guy who is stuffed with money. This is your family legacy, kid.
Now,
Don't even breathe.
Hey, I don't know what you people got going on here.
As soon as we blow the cemetery, you can walk away.
criminals have come to dig for treasure.
Well, I'll make all of this very easy for you. I'm just here for the money.
In a cemetery of the damned. And hell has risen to hunt them.
It started.
I knew we'd be brought together.
Frenzy's John Finch. Blake Bailey. Hellraiser's Ashley Lawrence. Ghost Vincent Schiavelli. And Reanimator's Jeffrey Combs. In H.P. Lovecraft's The Lurking Fear.
Hello, Full Moon fans. My name is Musetta Vander, and I play Lash in Full Moon's theatrical release Oblivion. I'm here today at Hollywood Sunset Ranch to tell you about the great new merchandise and fan club bonuses that Full Moon is now offering. The best way to find out about Full Moon's hottest new movies and to get the inside scoop on our stars and special effects is by joining the Full Moon Fan Club for only $20. You'll get the Moon Flash newsletter with up-to-the-minute information about full moon magic. Your lifetime membership also gets you the official Full Moon t-shirt with our logo printed on the front and the back of your shirt. Full Moon has spent months creating our most exciting collector's items. To find out about them, be sure to get your free copy of Dark Side of the Moon. This special fold-out issue shows you how you can order everything, from Full Moon videos, to posters, to CDs, and mugs. You can even get such extra special items as original scripts, press kits, a Full Moon leather jacket, and a Shrunken Heads display case. For more information about joining the Full Moon Fan Club and to get your free issue of Dark Side of the Moon, you can call the Full Moon hotline at 1-800-999-9559, or you can write to us at Full Moon Entertainment, 8721 Santa Monica Boulevard, Suite 526, West Hollywood, California, 90068. Thanks for staying tuned and watching me in Oblivion 2 Backlash. I'll be seeing you on the next edition of Full Moon's Video Zone.